At first, everyone thought this would be a cheap fast food trash movie. After all, its title sounded unbearably lame. Until the handsome face of the main character appeared on screen, only then did people realize this was actually a classic among classic zombie films. The story begins on an ordinary early morning. Office workers were still worrying about being late for work when suddenly chaos broke out everywhere. Fighter jets roared overhead like flocks of sparrows. Before Pick could even figure out what was happening, an explosion suddenly erupted ahead. The crowd scattered in panic. A police officer warned him to return to his vehicle immediately. As a top-tier CFK agent on the Joint Task Force, Pick knew this was an emergency. He had to leave at once. Just as he suspected, a zombie outbreak had already begun. The golden 3,000 seconds to escape had officially started. This time was different from before. As long as you were bitten by a zombie, you would fully mutate within 10 seconds. The speed was unprecedented. The Philadelphia military collapsed completely within half an hour. In less than an hour, the entire city fell. Pick was extremely lucky. He managed to escape onto the highway with his family, but his eldest daughter suddenly suffered an asthma attack. With no other choice, they headed to the nearest pharmacy. But by then, all order had collapsed. Survivors were frantically looting supplies. This showed just how bad the situation had become. When they finally left the pharmacy, their RV had already vanished without a trace. They had no choice but to find a hidden place to take shelter, because as long as they survived until nightfall, Pick's superior would dispatch a helicopter for him. The streets were far too dangerous. The family decided to take refuge in a nearby apartment, but along the way they caught the zombies' attention. There was no way to avoid them. They could only run upward to escape. Fortunately, a family of 3 offered their help, giving Pick and his family a brief moment to breathe. According to the radio broadcast, not only had Philadelphia collapsed, but New Jersey and Washington as well. Cities like Tokyo around the world had also erupted with zombies. This was a global catastrophe. Pick invited the host family to escape together, but they insisted on staying behind. At 5 a.m., Pick finished arming himself and left the apartment with his family, but the moment they entered the stairwell, they ran straight into an unexpected threat. Fortunately, Pick's shotgun was extremely effective, but the gunfire only made things worse. The family was chased in total panic, and these zombies were incredibly fast. Pick made a decisive call. He told his wife and children to retreat first, while he stayed behind to buy them time, but fists were no match for an overwhelming horde. Pick was quickly knocked to the ground. At the critical moment, it turned out Tommy's family had just been attacked. Right after Pick and the others left, Pick's team was forced to regroup. At around 6 a.m., the helicopter arrived right on schedule. With the help of several soldiers, Pick and his group boarded the helicopter quickly, but the zombies clearly hadn't given up. They charged forward without fear of death, even leaping into the air to attack. Of course, it was all in vain. The land had already been divided among the zombies. Humans could only cling to life aboard aircraft carriers. Pick's family was sent to the USS Mississippi, a temporary United Nations base, housing only the rich and powerful. A general informed Pick that to earn the right to stay, he must investigate the cause of the outbreak. According to rumors, the zombie outbreak originated from a train in Busan. For the sake of his family, Pick accepted the mission. He would work with Harvard virologist Dr. Harvey to investigate Busan firsthand. But as soon as the plane landed, everything immediately went wrong. Awe had never seen anything like this. His legs went weak instantly. He slipped and was killed on the spot. The doctor died mysteriously, leaving Pick to fight alone. According to the local garrison, the first infected person in Busan was a military medic. He was attacked while treating a patient. And that patient came from Jerusalem, which meant the virus had another origin. Pick made another decisive move. He planned a nighttime raid on the origin site, but first they had to sneak onto the plane in the dark, when suddenly Pick's phone rang and even started smoking. The noise woke the Busan zombies, and the culprit was Pick's wife. It was her routine check-in call. Their position was exposed. Pick's team could only fight while retreating. All the covering teammates were wiped out. Pick barely managed to board the plane. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, although zombies had also broken out, Pick noticed people here were not panicking, because a 100-meter-high wall surrounded the city. People joyfully sang Hallelujah. thanking God for not abandoning them. But to the zombies, this was a blatant provocation. They rapidly gathered outside the wall, while the people inside celebrated even harder. Pick sensed something was terribly wrong, but the commander assured him the wall was impregnable and told him not to worry at all. What he didn't realize was that zombies outside were already piling up. As the saying goes, joy often leads to tragedy, with chants of hallelujah echoing. The zombie pile grew higher and higher until they finally climbed over the wall. The celebrators were left stunned, covering their heads in sheer terror. But by then it was already too late. Hundreds of thousands of zombies poured down like dumplings, launching a ferocious assault on the city. The military counterattacked immediately, firing ammunition without restraint. But the sky soon rained zombies. Even armed helicopters were only a drop in the bucket. The zombie mass continued to grow endlessly. The spectacle was overwhelming. Even legends would break into a cold sweat seeing this. As more zombies breached the wall, the entire Jerusalem descended into chaos. Millions fled like headless flies. While the zombies charged like tigers down a mountain, humanity stood no chance. Their only option was mutual destruction. Later generations generally believed the main reason for this defeat was the lack of preparation early on. Pick was being escorted to retreat by elite forces, but zombies flooded in like an unstoppable tide, leaving no place for the helicopter to land. Pick and his group were forced into a ruined structure. Finally, after 2 high-explosive grenades, they gained a brief moment of calm. But some zombies slipped through. Private Ava was unfortunately bitten. Pick acted on impulse and chopped off her forearm. 10 seconds later, Ava showed no signs of mutation. It seemed the method worked, but the rescue helicopter was attacked. Even as its engines smoked, zombies kept charging endlessly. The helicopter was overwhelmed and ultimately fell. Jerusalem was completely doomed. Survivors rushed toward the airport in desperation. Pick and Ava were no exception, but their pilot had already fled on his own. Left with no choice, they hijacked a Boeing aircraft. Finally, the 2 boarded successfully. Outside the window, zombies filled the sky. In moments, the airport became a living hell. Jerusalem descended into total chaos. Despair could be felt everywhere. It was clear this place was about to become a dead zone. Watching this scene unfold, Pick felt a mix of emotions, but only Pick knew. The crisis was far from over, because a little surprise was hiding in the restroom. Pick sensed something was off, but in the brief moment he stood up, the flight attendant had already mutated. As he walked toward the curtain, the infection had already begun spreading. By the time Pick pulled the curtain open, the second cabin had already fallen. Passengers began to panic and mutate. Pick was stunned, but his mind raced. He signaled everyone to stay silent and used luggage to form a barrier. Everyone held their breath. Everything proceeded in silence and order. But the situation outside worsened rapidly. Finally, a falling suitcase marked the end of all efforts. The zombies immediately changed targets. They moved as if injected with adrenaline, each one astonishingly fast. In no time, the zombie nest spread. Ordinary people had no time to react. Passengers died in their seats, still strapped in. Pick dodged left and right. With Ava's help, he retreated quickly. Aside from the 2 of them, everyone else was killed. Looking at the devastation before him, Pick knew he had to take a gamble. It was a high-explosive grenade. The plane was blown open with a massive hole. Under the immense air pressure, zombies were sucked out of the cabin. Although the immediate crisis was resolved, the plane lost balance and crashed straight into a forest. The fuselage snapped in half. After an unknown amount of time, Pick awoke in excruciating pain. What he saw were not just wreckage, but also bound zombies. A metal shard was lodged in Pick's abdomen. The injury was clearly severe. Fortunately, Ava was mostly unharmed. She supported Pick as the 2 found a research facility, but just as they reached the gate, Pick lost consciousness. Pick went missing. The UN leadership concluded he was dead. His family was sent to a refugee camp. During this time, Pick realized something while drifting in and out of consciousness. It seemed that people with underlying conditions or obvious physical defects were ignored by the zombies. This insight hit Pick like a revelation. He struck a deal with the military. His superior would fully protect his family, and he would head alone to the virus vault. Pick injected himself with an HIV virus to test his theory. Just as he expected, zombies only targeted healthy bodies. Pick moved freely through zombie hordes. Using this advantage, humanity launched a counter-offensive against the zombies, gradually reclaiming the land. But the peace did not last. 3 years later, zombies began to evolve. They even formed hierarchical relationships, and various animals also mutated. A new crisis. See you in the next episode.